my bookish friends, and welcome back to our Summer of Sequels on All Books Book Reviews. Today we're going to look at Unworthy by Vanessa Hall. This is book 2 of the Grace Sufficient series. Book 1 is Unknown. Oh, that sounded funny. Book 1 is titled Unknown, and the link's up there in the corner if you want to check that out. It was published January of 2022. There are 366 pages, 24 chapters. We're looking at 15 pages per chapter, and the average reading time anywhere between 5 to 7 hours. And genres, this will cover Christian fiction, suspense, contemporary fiction, and Christian romance. Before we dive recklessly into the synopsis, there are some Russian names here. I did look up the pronunciation on YouTube. I'm just going to wing it with what I am able to do, and I apologize if I completely butcher the names. But let's get into it. Okay. One moment, one choice can change a life forever. 2 years ago, Yevgeny Yorlov's dreams shattered on the stage of the Bolshoi Theater. Without many options, he lands a job far different from ballet and returns to Moscow. There he's reunited with old friends who need his help as government scrutiny intensifies on Grace Baptist Church. Sasha Drynikov isn't the woman she once was, but Dmitry Rykov's shadow is relentless. Reminders of her past lurk everywhere, and her sins have rendered her undeserving of a man like Yevgeny. As mounting danger surrounds both the church and his job, Yevgeny finds past struggles reignited, struggles that reach even Sasha. Amidst so much darkness, will truth prevail, or will Yevgeny's choices destroy him and those he loves? As far as a sequel goes, this was a great continuation, very needed for the series. And I think one of my favorite aspects was getting to see the point of view of other characters besides just Gabe and Sophia from the first book. There was a 2-year gap in between me reading Unknown and Unworthy. I did forget some minor things, and some things are a bit hazy, but nothing drastic that messed up or confused me or anything. And one more thing, and then I'll move on to the actual review. You really need to read Unknown first to get the gist of things. And I forgot to mention this in my last review, Refuge from the Storm. That is also not a standalone. So starting with what I loved about this book. The Christian content and the messages were really good. The biggest theme that stuck out to me most was everything happens for a reason. No matter the evil going on or horrible situations in our lives, God can turn them around for His glory. And a verse that kept coming to mind was Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. I think Vanessa really did a great job with the characters. I liked how complex and deep they were. You have Sasha, who is really trying to get away from her old life and her past and just like erase all of that. And she has a pet cat, which is cool. And then you have Yevgeny, I think. Yevgeny. I'm never going to pronounce his name correctly. So let's just call him E for the sake of this review. I really loved how his character has grown. Unknown, he was very much kind of a diva, very full of himself, egotistical. But in this, he's taken a complete 180 almost. He's mellowed out a lot. There's just so much character development. And then you have Sophia and Gabe from the first book, and I think they're my favorite characters out of the whole series so far. They're just such a wholesome couple, and I love their story. I appreciated the romance aspects, very clean, and also it was a slow build-up. And there's a reason why this is romantic suspense, because the suspense aspects were great, very on the edge of your seat. There were some sketchy characters and villains. There was a couple on the run instances and even some shootouts. I don't want to get into everything. Some action, a little bit of violence, but nothing really bad or gruesome or anything. And I was so happy that there were still some scenes in the theater and with ballet shows going on. That was one of my favorite aspects in Unknown, and I'm glad it was included in this. The writing was just really pretty whenever talking about all that. I loved it. And there's an interesting and really good balance to the gritty, sinister, dark suspense and ballet. That's more graceful and elegant. I only have a few dislikes, and a couple of them are purely just my preference. I liked Unknown better so far of the series. That one is my favorite, mostly because I like Gabe and Sophia's backstory. Also, there was more ballet in that. This one's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's just preference. I had some issues getting started with this. I've been trying to finish this book for, I would say, about a year. I would read so much of it, and then for whatever reason, I'd put it away, come back to it like a month later, and I would have to restart it because I didn't remember what was going on. So I read like the first 3 or 4 chapters, like, not even kidding, maybe like 5 times, which did affect my reading enjoyment because you're reading the same thing and you're like, move on. So again, that's just my own experience, nothing to do with the book. I'm very much a mood reader, and so I've done this with several books where I'll start it and then just move on and then have to end up restarting it, which is frustrating, but that's just the way I am, I guess. And lastly, there were a handful of minor characters with Russian names, and they were very hard to keep straight. For one, I couldn't pronounce the name, and that does impact it. They weren't really individual. Mostly I'm thinking of E's co-workers. All in all, I'm giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. Overall, Unworthy is a really good read with a great cast of characters and a really cool setting and some heart-pounding suspense. I really enjoyed this, and I love the series. I am so excited to continue it and see where it all ends. I definitely recommend this if you have already started the series. Do not pass this one up. And if you like any of the genres that this covers, Christian fiction, suspense, romantic suspense, if you enjoy books with Russian settings, and for any theater nerds out there, if you like ballet, definitely give this a go. You can find Unworthy on several platforms. I have them listed right there, and I do have several of the links in the description box. And it's also on Goodreads. You can add it to your to-read list. Alright, my bookish friends, and now we'll complete this review, and our next one will be on July 21st, and we will be looking at Chaste. Remember to subscribe so you are notified when that goes live, and I would love to hear from you in the comments at what you thought of the review, and if you've already read this or plan on reading it, let me know. So, until then, happy reading!